So in this video, okay, we're going to talk about Dr. Umar's father and how Dr. Umar's father, this is a video of over 5 years ago, okay? Dr. Umar's father said essentially, listen, he doesn't agree with the things that Dr. Umar is saying. All right. Now, some of you guys have been paying attention to Dr. Umar. You may have heard his father before. I've never actually seen his father before until now. All right. Though I know his voice. I've heard him more than a few times before. Dr. Umar's father looks like he could be his brother. I don't know how this dude is his father, but it actually is his father. Also, I have an article which I'm going to pull up, so make sure you watch this to the end. It's very crazy how you compare Dr. Umar's father to Dr. Umar. And you see how, like, Dr. Umar's father actually did stuff here in Philly where I live at, okay? And I'm also a community organizer. You know, Dr. Umar is not a community organizer, but he has worked in the community before. Though, in my opinion, I've said this many times before, I believe Dr. Umar is a scammer. But his father actually did stuff in the community that's serious, real stuff, okay? He went on I believe, a 26 or so day hunger strike against gun violence in the city, all kind of stuff. So we're gonna pull this stuff up. Make sure y'all tune in, stay tuned, don't tune out. Okay, we're gonna get into a lot here. All right, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Let's go.
Anthropologically, he can substantiate how he feels. I, on the other hand, feel that people are entitled to be with whatever race they choose to be with. I don't think that takes away your blackness. I do not believe that you are a traitor if you choose to be with someone outside your race. I do not believe that black women are gold diggers any more than white women are gold diggers or Chinese women.
Absolutely. So right there we see the difference between Dr. Umar and his father. His father says, listen, it doesn't really matter. And I say this all the time. You got man and woman, Adam and Eve. First woman, first man made. Okay? White people come from Adam and Eve. Black people come from Adam and Eve. Asian people come from Adam and Eve. Okay? You may say, well, the first people that were made on earth by God were black. Well, what does the Bible say? The Bible says that he made that the Garden of Eden was in Africa. That's what the Bible actually tells you. It's not something that's a debate. It's actually in the Bible. You read the book of Genesis. Okay? It says that it was in Africa. Okay? So if that's the case, all right, well, then that means that every person comes from black people. All right? So if that's the case, why are we fighting about race? Well, it's because somebody wants us to. That's why. All right? The spirit of hate, whatever the case may be. But we shouldn't be doing that. Now, are there people of other races that have different points of views? Yes, but they choose to believe in those things. There are white people that hate blacks. There are white people that love blacks. There are black people that love blacks. There are black people that hate blacks that I know, okay? There are black people that hate whites. There are black people that love everyone, okay? So it just depends on what you choose to believe. It doesn't matter the tint of your skin. And that's what his father is saying. Let's continue.
I do believe that love comes and goes, and color doesn't have a thing to do with it. If it did, then I'd like to know why we black people can't seem to love each other a lot more. But I just feel that when we trace things back down in our lineage, and I'm also, of course, in the lineage of the bloodline of Frederick Douglass as he is. Frederick.
Now, for y'all don't know, that's something that has been contested and debated, okay, about them being of the bloodline of Frederick Douglass. In actuality, Dr. Umar came on Roland Martin, and he had to actually admit that because Frederick Douglass' family said that's not true. He said, well, I'm one of his kinsmen. I'm related to one of his kinsmen. All right. It's not a direct bloodline. His father is saying the same thing. Me personally, I feel like, why does it even matter? Okay, I mean, Martin Luther King could have been my father, but that has nothing to do with what I do. You know what I mean? Seriously, it has nothing to do with what I do. That's a whole nother person. You know? I mean, if you want to mention that, I don't know. I don't know. To me, it's unmanly, in my opinion, to even say that. To say, this man, I'm from this man, and keep saying over and over again. If you find that out, okay, that's great. But would this man do what I do? Because if it was the other way around and the man was an awful person, you wouldn't want to be connected to the guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying to say that another man does nothing to do with me. All right. I see black folks who do this all the time. They're like, yeah, well, we're from here. We're from these people. We're from that people. Why does it really matter? It's what you do that matters. Okay. You could have come from a great king, but you're selling dope on the corner. Okay. What are you choosing to do? Do you even understand that some people say, oh, well, it matters because it can be to make a change. They knew where they came from. And I do agree with knowing your history. All right. But it's the difference between knowing your history and being the person that is a change agent now. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they don't go that far. All they want to do is just say, look where I came from. Look where I came from. All right. And now you're known for saying, look where I came, or look where my fathers came from. Okay. You're known for saying they were this, they were that. Now, if someone wants to say, well, your fathers were just slaves, like I have a friend that always tells me, he says they try to act like our history starts with slavery, and it doesn't, and that's true. In that case, then I can understand. But I'm not running. I don't have to run around and continue to point backwards when it comes to somebody in my family line. Look at what I'm doing now. You understand what I'm saying?
Douglas was married to a white woman. Many well-known abolitionists, civil rights leaders were married to white women. I'm not saying this is something you should do. I'm saying that it should not be taken as a stain on your blackness. Those of us who are my age and older, some people may consider us elders, we did a lot to get where we are. The 50s, when I was born, was not a good year for my parents. It was not a good decade for my parents, and neither were the years prior to that.
Now we're going to stop right here, okay? Now, because we're going to go into an article, he's going to go further into this. All right, I'm going to use this article as like a segue to what he's saying here also. Let me say, why don't you let this play out, okay? If you want to watch the rest of what he's saying in this segment, okay, Dr. Umar's father does not approve of his son's lies, okay? But right now we're going to go into this article, okay? Let's go. Now, the reason why I cut that video off also is because I listened to more of that video, and he doesn't go too deep into that at all. But this article does a much better job of explaining what he's talking about here. So, as you can see here, it says, meet the North Philly raised Marine veteran who forced the city's hand on gun violence. Okay, this is from 2021. All right, well, let's scroll down. Jamal Johnson, that's Dr. Umar's father's name, okay? Jamal Johnson's granddaughter was 17 when she was shot in the leg. He was out of town. I came home and saw her laid up in bed, Johnson recalled on a cold March evening. 5 years later, I remember looking at her and just not believing this because it happens to everybody else. It doesn't happen to you. When it did happen, the activists had been traveling the country to protect police violence, not to protect. Okay, that's a whole different thing. To protest. I'm sorry, I got a thing here on my screen. You guys can't see it. It's making it hard for me to see this. So I'm sorry. It's part of my screen record here. When it did happen, the activists had been traveling the country to protest police violence and other human rights violations. All right. Though his granddaughter's encounter wasn't fatal, it confirmed for him another cause. It reinforced to me that I got an obligation to try to do what I can about this, said Johnson, a Philly native and veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps. He watched in horror last year as city's gun violence crisis deepened. Philadelphia saw nearly 500 homicides in 2020, the highest in decades. So in mid-January, Johnson became a fixture on City Hall's apron. No matter what cold or snow blew past, he would post up daily for hours or more. He had his megaphone, a pair of electric warming gloves he purchased just for the occasion, and his signs. Enough is enough, they read. We demand action on gun violence, adoption, resolution. Now, me personally, I live in the city. I never saw this man down there. The reason was because I guess it was 2020, so it was lots of that was just shut down. That's probably why I never saw this man. If it was now, I would have definitely seen the guy, but I can't remember ever seeing this man. Okay, but it's not like I said, not that he wasn't out there. Just that a lot of people weren't down there at that time. Like a lot of cities, it was like a ghost town. You could drive anywhere in the city, and it'll be like no traffic around that time. Let's continue. To hammer home the point, Johnson went on hunger strike. He starved himself for 26 days, waiting for Mayor Jim King, that's our former mayor, okay, to acknowledge a city council resolution declaring gun violence a citywide emergency. His nearly month-long demonstration ended in February when, I don't know what his long number is, when, whatever that number is, owner and show host Saj Purple Queen Blackwell facilitated an impromptu meeting with the mayor. During that meeting, Kenny pledged to work to fulfill the resolution, so Johnson called off the protest. And last Thursday, almost 1 month to the day later, Kenny announced the city would begin to hold regular public briefings about gun violence, satisfying one of the resolution's main asks. Now, why am I bringing all this up? Well, it shows some of the differences between his son, Dr. Umar, and Dr. Umar's father. Okay. Now, I've said in previous videos, okay, I'm a community organizer. I've started 2 community groups here in Philadelphia. One of the groups I've started is called Revolution Movement Society. Okay, we've been around since 2014. All right, doing different things in the city, help people, all kinds of stuff, which I'm not going into right now. But the reason why I bring it up is because Dr. Umar many times says, you know, I'm the voice of the black people, and I'm all this, I'm all that. Okay, but in Philly, you never see Dr. Umar nowhere. All right. And he's in this, it's not like he's in another country all the time. He's in this area. You've seen in Wilmington. Wilmington is like an hour away from Philadelphia, okay? It's an hour drive away. So he's always in the area. I saw a video where this guy was saying that he's at that school on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, all right? A guy that visited the school some time ago, okay? Maybe like 2 months ago or so. The guy that was there said he's there on Tuesdays. So he's there on Tuesdays, but you never see Dr. Umar having any big events in the city at all. All right? I'm just telling you, I don't see this stuff because if you had an event, people would be there saying, "Dr. Umar, why do you just scam school? X, Y, Z. Why are you lying? Blah blah blah." Okay, but we see his father here. The sign, you see the sign says, "Mayor Kenny, we deserve better. We demand action on gun violence. Adopt Resolution 247." Now is that? I don't know if that's actually his father. Maybe somebody else. Oh, let me see here. Is this his father? That may be him right there with the megaphone. Okay. Friend Jamal Lambert joined Johnson's public, and that's probably the guy, him, protest outside City Hall. Okay, let's scroll down. So we see a difference between Umar and his father, at least in this way. All right, and this is very insightful when it comes to Umar. I mean, there are videos on Dr. Umar before. All right, and because Dr. Umar it reminds me of the Lord Jamar thing. If you saw that video where he was saying, "Look, I got at least my father-in-law, okay, if I'm not mistaken, started a school somewhere in New York, and he did it from the ground up, and I got connected with him." And Dr. Umar said, "No, brother, I don't need no help. I know people that have schools. I have people that have schools." And he was like, "Yeah, well, why wouldn't?" He said, "Look, you're educated, Dr. Umar. Doesn't mean that you know how to do everything when it comes to how to create an entire school and how to facilitate the whole process." Dr. Umar was like, "Listen, it doesn't matter. I have people that have schools." Now, 5 or so years later after that interview, Dr. Umar's school's still not open and almost got sold in a share sale. Okay. But his father, you see, he's on the streets really doing stuff. I've never seen Dr. Umar do nothing like this ever. And I don't think he ever has in Philly when it comes to standing up against anything like that. But he comes on his internet personality. Now, somebody may say, well, in Dr. Umar's offense, that's just not his lane, brother. His lane is being in a car and talking about different things. His lane is being on Instagram. There's nothing wrong with that. That's just how he gets his messages across. You know what I mean? You can't hate because if he were to be on the streets, then somebody may say, well, why isn't he online? There are more people online, but he wants to be on the streets and X, Y, Z, and people are always going to complain. And someone will have a point. Someone will have a point in saying that the only problem is that when Dr. Umar is online, he is scamming people. He is scamming people. That's a problem. He's not giving answers, but he's scamming folks. He's been bringing up for many years. Oh, well, if your kid is registered this way, and they're giving these type of medications, X, Y, Z, and they're saying, you know, ADHD and this and that, and they're really not, but it be, they need this and this and they need that. But he doesn't give any answers. His answer is essentially, go to my school. His answer is a finger pointed to FDMG Academy. The only problem is that FDMG Academy is a scam. FDMG Academy is a scam. And one more time, like Umar says, that FDMG Academy is a scam. So his finger to point to his school for the answer for the problems that he sees the black boys having is a scam, which makes you wonder, does he really care at all? But we see his father seems to care, okay? Compared to, and I'm saying seems because I don't know everything about his father, that's why I have to say that, okay? Compared to some other gun violence hunger strikes, Johnson's was unprecedented in its effectiveness when it comes to impacting the turnaround time. And also I want to say this real quick before we continue. My community group has actually worked with the former mayor, Mayor Kenny, okay? And one thing, actually, and I will tell you this, a lot of people didn't like Mayor Kenny, all right? But I will say this, and I don't know anything about the guy, but I will say this. Mayor Kenny, when we hit him up, he actually did respond, okay? He actually put our community group in a private email, which allowed us to even to this very day, even though he's not the mayor, we're still in a private email chain where extremely important events that come down the pipe for the city, we're made privy to, which other people wouldn't know nothing about. Okay, he would actually put our community group in it, and he's spoken to us more than a few times through email himself. Okay, so I will say that mayor, even though he may have done things people don't like, he did contact us a small community group of less than 20 people. Okay, but let's continue. In the closest similar example, Pastor Anthony Williams in Chicago stopped eating for about 3 weeks to urge the state of Illinois to adopt a bill declaring gun and other forms of violence a public health crisis. He started in 2020. To date, the bill he was advocating for has not been passed by the House or signed into law, said Marlon Watson, president of ADOS Chicago, which organized with Williams. Miami in 2019 just had over 50 murders. Philadelphia had 365 that year. A group of residents engaged in a 3-week hunger strike to bring awareness and action to the issue of the city's particularly troubled Liberty City neighborhood. They weren't pushing for any specific legislation. And in Brooklyn, one teacher turned down food for 73 days. She began eating again only after the Supreme Court ruled in November 2019 that the families and victims of the Sandy Hook shooting could proceed with their suit against Remington, the manufacturer who made the gun used in the attack. For Johnson, the hunger strikes and a publicity that came with them kept a whirlwind 8 years. Now a career activist, his tumultuous early life led him to hard-working teen parenthood. Which will make sense because, is this talking about him? Is this teen parenthood? I wonder if maybe he's talking about the issue of teen parenthood. I was saying it because I believe that he had to be young to have Umar because he looks like he's only a few years older than Umar. But because Umar I think is like mid-50s. But let's continue. Let's go back. Now, career activist, his tumultuous early life led him to hard-working teen parenthood, low-level crime, anti-gang community organizer. Okay, some of what he's doing now. Okay, a decade-long career in the Marines and seeing his dreams for maybe not. Okay, for a travel-filled retirement cut short by tragedy. Okay, well, let's look at this picture here. Jamal Johnson with his 10-16 series team in '84. Okay, let's see where he's at. I can't tell. Okay. Maybe that's him up top, right? Maybe that's him right there. Top. Anyway, let's continue. A teen's father choice, military or prison. Johnson's childhood was spent between foster homes, stints of homelessness, and gang activity. I just wanted to get off the street, he said. Born in March of '57 and raised in North Philly North Philadelphia is a rough area. A lot of times on TV they make it seem like South Philly is the roughest area in Philadelphia. That's not the truth. North Philly is definitely one of the most roughest areas in the city, okay? Born in '57, raised in North Philadelphia, around 6 in Oxford Streets, Johnson said his childhood neighborhood is now unrecognizable because of gentrification. Nothing's there that was there when I was growing up, believe me. Now there are parts of North Philly that are gentrified, not all of them. More so along what we have here called Broad Street, which is a big street that spans from all the way to like many blocks. Okay, along those areas, there's a college, Temple University, and other areas where they kind of are gentrified because of that school. But that school is only in a certain area; it's not spanning all of Broad Street. But there are areas around that area for sure where whole projects have been pulled down. There was even a school, and I believe Temple even took a whole high school, which they closed. I believe that the Temple took possession of, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so it's definitely gentrification. As he bounced from foster family to foster family, the list of schools he can remember attending were all over town. Barrett Junior High, South Philly, Fitzsimmons, and Fitzsimons, Fitzsimmons, and Strawberry Mansion, Addison High, and Franklinville. Okay, when he was around 14, his grandmother took custody of him and his siblings. The glimmer of hope he felt was dashed when she died soon thereafter. Hoping to avoid re-entering the system, and adolescent Johnson chose homelessness. When he finally got tired of living on the streets, he went back to children's services. I'm turning myself back in to go back in, he told his caseworker. There was no sympathy forthcoming. Excuse me. He gave me a quarter, dime, and nickel and told me to get out of his office. So I left his office, nowhere to go. I was crying. A different caseworker spotted a tearful Johnson and took him to House of Umoja, a place that would change his life. The lessons he learned during his 4 years there, he said, guide his principled activist work nearly 5 decades later. And I look at this, I say to myself, why isn't Umar working with his father? You know what I mean? Seriously. Why? You know what I mean? Actually, when I think about all of this kind of stuff, and in my opinion, I said before, I believe that Umar is a government plant. It makes me wonder if they actually made Dr. Umar a plant, or if he was targeted because of his father. You know what I mean? I personally believe that Dr. Umar did something or was involved in some type of criminal activity that we don't know anything about. Okay, which is why Dr. Umar, in my opinion, works with the FBI. I believe for sure he works with the FBI. All right. Maybe they gave him some kind of deal. Maybe they told him you can say this, you can say this, you can say that. All right. I mean, and I'll give you some precedent for this to let you understand what I'm saying. Like, for example, right, in Philadelphia and other cities, Black Panthers, all right, were hunted down by the FBI, by all of those folks. Okay, it's the truth. There's a guy in Philadelphia. His name is Umar Jamal. Okay, and this is a man that was an innocent man that was locked up. He's still locked up right now for taking the life of a cop. When in actuality, he didn't take the cop's life. Now, this guy was involved with the Panthers. All right, he was a radio host. So it was like he was some hood guy that's on the corner. He was actually a radio host for a station, all kind of stuff. But what happened was a guy who they knew got involved with a cop, and he ended up shooting this cop. And Mumia and them showed up, and they put the murder on him when he didn't do it. He had nothing to do with it. All right, and then the guy who actually did it, you know what happened to him? He was found in the trunk of his own car dead. The cops knew that he did and killed him. All right, and they put the murder on Mumia because he was involved with the Panthers, all kind of stuff. And at that time, if you look in history, you'll find that they were hunting down Panthers. All right, there are whole documentaries on this stuff. All right, and Philly being a very racist city that it has been for many years, though it's in a northern city, it's still a very racist city. And I've tell you from personal experience. All right, the judge in the case of Mumia said he was going to basically, like, I think he said he's going to watch the man fry, if I'm not mistaken. You can look up that quote, but it was something to that effect. All right, but thank God Mumia has been on, I think, he's been on death row for years, or I believe death row. I don't know if he's off it, but he's still locked up. Okay, and he should not be in prison at all. All right, but I'm saying to say that if that was the case with his father was involved in these type of things, I can see why they would maybe want to get their hands on his son. You understand what I'm saying? He said, look, we know what you did, and this and that. You can work with us, whatever the case may be. Because when you look at that Umar, he says he's great at pointing out problems that are in the community, but he's not great at bringing answers and solutions. And his school is it's like spitting in the face of Black people. It really, really is. It's like to me, it's like, you know, drinking a whole bunch of hot sauce, okay, keeping it in your mouth, and then spitting in a Black mother's eyes. That's what that school to me is like. Because Black women have, and to a large degree, all right, probably the majority of people that have given, Black mothers, they've given him money for that school, and look what he's done with the money. All right, so let me say, well, you know, people sometimes are going to squander some money. It was like it was some money. It was like it was, you know, him being caught with the wrong person, the wrong woman one night. It was something he'd been doing for years. This is something he's been doing for a long, long, long time. In his right mind, also, okay? Understand, in his right mind. Always believe, look deeper. And the thing that seems to be the most unlikely many times is exactly what's going on, okay? So looking at his father, I'm just saying, it's very interesting, okay? Knowing history, how things have been in the past. At the time, most who ended up at the West Philly home for boys were seeking to escape gang violence. Johnson lamented his own involvement in a fair share of that during the 1970s, but he wasn't necessarily seeking an escape from the life when he ended up at Umoja. He went there just to have some place to live. Along with his housemates, the teenager assumed his duty in helping facilitate peace pacts between rival neighborhood gangs, pacts that had been credited with drastic reductions in homicides. While helping Umoja, co-founder David Fattah mediate. Let's go back. I'm sorry, I thought it was meditate. While helping Umoja co-founder David Fattah mediate real-time crisis, Johnson learned the importance of being on the ground 365 days a year, he said. Okay, so this is him right here. Okay. I'm always trying to encourage people to come on back, especially when it's snowing, when it's raining, Johnson said. Murder happens all the time, and that's true. Umoja also instilled in him a sense of responsibility to the community. The boys were charged with seeking. Now this is important, y'all. And once again, I'll stop for this stage real quick. Think about it. So his father went to Umoja. Dr. Umar says he was open on what? A school for black boys. Where was his father at? A school, a place for black boys. Okay. Yet, almost like a smack into the face of his father in Umoja, Dr. Umar is opening up something of a scam. He's pushing, I should say, something of a scam, and he's not opening it. Okay. Umoja also instilled in him a sense of responsibility to the community. The boys were charged with seeking employment, completing household chores, and peacefully mediating, I ain't messed up there, okay, mediating conflict in-house. All right. At the same time, Johnson, now a father of 9, with grandchildren and great-grandchildren, had his first child when he was a middle school student, too young to work legally. Wow. He lied about his age and worked 2 jobs to support his baby. That's how I bought the Pampers and everything else. It was rough, he said, but his 48-year-old eldest daughter is good now. House of Umoja had a no-crime rule, but Johnson slipped through the cracks. Weeks before he turned 18, he was caught by police for stealing and stripping cars for parts with a friend. A judge told him to either clean it up or go to prison. In a moment of rashness, he decided the answer, was to join the Marines. Next thing I knew, Johnson said, I was at Parris Island. Okay, a commitment to activism supplants a taste for travel. It's on me now. Growing up in what he called Philadelphia's Rizzo and Black Panther era, Mayor Rizzo, if you guys don't know, in Philadelphia, this was a man who was a very controversial and bad mayor. Okay, they actually had a big statue of Mayor Rizzo downtown Philly, which they actually removed. Okay, they actually removed this man's statue because he was such a bad person. People say, please get rid of this statue. It was there for years. And they finally removed it. Okay, but let's continue. Growing up in what he called Philadelphia's Rizzo and Black Panther era, Johnson faced his fair share of racist police violence that bled into his time in the Marine Corps, which had only fully racially integrated less than 2 decades before he joined in 1975. He did give credit to the USMC, saying it helped me to become a more rigid. It allows me to stay on the path to whatever I'm doing when I'm doing it, regardless of what might be distracting. Johnson's service began just months after the conclusion as the Vietnam War, and lasted without any major conflict. Still, he spent years in parts of Asia, Okinawa, and Korea, and even picked up a bit of Japanese. He adored it and longed to extend his residency in parts of the world. Okay, I guess there's some typos here, okay? In that part of the world, let's say. It was not to be. After about 10 years, his military career was cut short when he sustained a disability from drinking contaminated water on base. Okay. And an environmental injury that affected around 1 million Marines. Wow. Johnson returned to Philly, where he's lived his entire stateside life. He joined the United States Post Office, where he met his wife, Bernice. The couple had 3 children before Johnson became a widower in 1995. One of Johnson's sons is well-known and controversial Pan-African speaker, Dr. Umar Johnson. After 22 years at Philly's post office, Johnson planned to retire and chill out to travel the world. But you know what they say about plans. We're going to stop right here, okay, for this article, y'all.
The accusations he made and the inference that somehow I'm trying to assassinate his agenda.
I'm going to go back real quick. My fault. I didn't realize I didn't start from the beginning, but he's talking about Umar. Let's go back. My fault, y'all.
The accusations this is the second video I'm making about what my son has said about me in his video. The accusations he made and the inference that somehow I'm trying to assassinate his agenda. First, let me say hi, Umar. This is meant for you, but I'm sure your followers and other people may view it. The few that have heard you say what you said about me. Let me say, first of all, I made a video on Facebook with the intent that it reached out to you, but I figured that this way is probably an additional means that you might be able to hear what I have to say. Firstly, I love you. I'm glad that you are doing what you're doing with the right intentions. I don't necessarily agree with how you're going about putting it out there, and you know that. Secondly, I am not trying to assassinate your program or whatever you're doing. I told you before, I'll say it again, I don't like the way in which you demean people, insult people, make statements that may not be proven to be true, but as none of this is against you. This is against the message in certain ways, but not necessarily the whole message. In other words, when you say something, people believe it, they respect it. If you start calling people names, they call people names too. If you say that something is not historically correct, they believe it. Why? Because our people don't go and check things. They don't study. They rather just let somebody else do the studying and then feed it back to them, spoon feed them the information, and then they call it fact. I know better, you know better. We both been in school, so we know that's not the right way to do things. But importantly, more important than that is that
I'm glad that he said it, because to me, that's how Dr. Umar, without that, we just said, when it comes to black people, not too many black people, I should say, kind of all black people do this, but too many black people not reading. Dr. Umar, without that, Dr. Umar would not have, in my opinion, he would not have a strong platform, okay? Because he does a lot of things and says a lot of things that are either not true or does things that are not true based on what he previously said, things that he said he would do, and so on and so forth, and lies that he puts out there. All right, he has always had, I should say, hopefully this will continue, but he's had in the past many times a fresh batch of young college kids, or high schoolers that have fallen into the Umar deception, and they're the ones who've been pushing him and pushing his name even now, as I've been saying on Instagram, where he has over 1 million followers.
I need you to know that I love you, man. I care about you, and I'm very concerned about what's going on around you, what I hear, what I see. I would never, ever try to hurt you, and I surely would never conspire with other people against you. Like I said in the other video, I'm sure that you know people have talked to me, reached out to me, encouraged me to talk about you, against you, not your information, you. I do speak about your information, but I'm not about speaking out against you. So I hope you understand that. And if you look back at anything I've said and done, you've known that to be true.
How about this? Why is he's saying, I'm making this video towards you, Umar. Why can't his father just meet Umar? Now you may say, well, it's because his father's trying to be online. I don't think so. I think that he probably had a hard time getting in contact with Umar. Okay, but let's continue.
Years I sat back and watched the things you said and did that I didn't agree with, and I didn't say a word. I was very offended. People were coming up to me, telling me about it, but I told them, you're a grown man, you say what you want. But when you made that video towards Saraseti, I thought you crossed the line. Frankly, I thought maybe something was wrong with you. So I made the video to apologize on your behalf, only because as your father, I know you're better than that. And maybe at that moment, at that time, you may have just lost your composure. But then when you went on to talk about the racist side of things, I just felt that couldn't be tolerated either. And I'm not, you call me a coon. You say I'm on a tour of multiculturalism. You said I want white people to follow me. You're wrong. You're wrong. I don't want.
So that's something I didn't know, that he called his own father publicly a coon. Okay, based on what his father is alleging here. So, and I believe him. Okay, so he called his own father a coon and is pushing multiculturalism. That tells you a lot about Dr. Umar. Okay, have I had issues with my father? Absolutely. And I didn't grow up with my dad like that. I lived with my dad for some years, but like a few years. I lived with my dad when I was younger. Then there was a divorce, and then I lived with my dad for like a year, and then I didn't live with him after that. Okay, So I didn't really grow up with my dad like that. But in the time I've known my dad, there have been things that he's done I didn't agree with. All right, there have been things that happened I didn't understand fully until later when he explained to me, this happened because of this happened because of so and so, your mother, blah, blah, blah. All right. But I can tell you one thing, even since I've been online, I would never come out and call my parents a name. All right. Even my mom. There are all kinds of things going on between me and my mother. Okay. I love my mother and my father. But I would not come online and call them a name. Okay, because I came from them. And that's just respect. All right. Maybe to their face, I'm gonna call them a name, but I'll say this is what you're doing. I've had many times where I've said this is what you're doing, XYZ, this is wrong, blah, blah, blah. But I would not call them a name, you understand, a name call. And I do not only is he name calling, but he's actually calling them derisive names in public with people that put him in this world. And we just read his father was raising them do much difficulty. And I do not know all that, didn't even seem to care. Which shows the condition of his heart. Now, if he would treat his own father this way, what more your sons, which he says he wants to bring to your school? We will end this video in a second, y'all. Let's continue, though.
Anybody to follow me. I want people to follow themselves, use their own head, and study and learn the truth. I just got back from Ghana a couple weeks ago, and I learned some things over there that I didn't know before. And when I went up to the slave castles where the slaves were kept and humiliated and just disgraced, it touched me. It really did. And it made me see your mission a little clearer. But I still don't agree with the way in which you put it out. Because the bottom line is you're dividing black people with some things you say. You break us up into different groups, and then you attack us. And then you turn around and say, people hating you. Well, what did you expect?
That's an excellent way of putting it. He said, you break us up into different groups, and then you attack us. That is definitely what he does. Okay. Now, I'm going to come on and say that have I called people Uncle Toms before myself? There are people that are Uncle Toms. Okay. So I'm not going to say you can't call up some Uncle Tom or Uncle Tom. All right. I think I have a video where I even called Dr. Umar the greatest Uncle Tom because I believe he works with the FBI and all kind of stuff, the FBI and all of them. And he calls people Uncle Toms, but that's really actuality is the actual greatest Uncle Tom. And I don't take that back because of what he's been doing in the past. Now he can come out of that, but at this moment, that's what, in my opinion, that's definitely what he is. But you say, well, how can you then criticize Umar for putting people in their groups? And the reason is because Umar puts people in groups incorrectly. Or incorrectly. It's like if someone is racist, and I say this person is racist, like Charlie Kirk, for example, I say Charlie Kirk was racist, which is true. I'm not incorrectly putting him in a group of racists because that's what he was. All right. Or if someone is a murderer, I say this person was a murderer, that's who they are. Okay, or at least that's what they committed. They may not ever do it again, but they are a person that murdered somebody. Okay. But Dr. Umar will put a person that doesn't, for example, Dr. Umar puts me in a group of YouTubian, anti-Umar struggle streamers. Okay. Because we speak against him, but we're speaking against him in justice and in truth because Dr. Umar, now he calls us struggle streamers because we don't have as many followers as him, which is many times true, okay? But the reason why we speak against him is because what he's doing is wrong. He's scamming people. He's doing this for years. So he puts people on this kind of group. He puts people into groups like he's lining us up, saying, I want 10 of y'all in this group, 10 of y'all in that group, 10 of y'all in that group, 10 of y'all in that group. And then he fires on all of us. He pulls his arrow back and he shoots at all of us, okay? With his words and these videos, and even though we're the ones who are standing in the truth and in the light, saying what you're doing is wrong, this is a lie, stop this. He makes it appear as if everybody is against him and that black folks are against him, but in actuality, in a million years ago, black people weren't saying this stuff. Okay, so why is it they're doing it now? Obvious answer is because Dr. Umar's scam has been shown to be a scam. People gave him time knowing that he was saying some wild stuff even years ago because they said, well, you know what? He wants to start a school. That's good. Okay, something to help black boys is good, like we can see with his father or with the House of Moja. Okay, but what did Dr. Umar do? Did he repeat that process? No. He used the school as a scam, and for the past some years, what he's been doing more than anything else has been traveling the world, sleeping with black mothers, getting their hopes up for a school that will never be. All right, and it's as simple as that. And you don't believe me? Just recently, you can look it up if you don't believe this, or watch my past videos. The school, FDMG Academy, was almost sold in a share sale recently. All right. And Dr. Umar came up with an elaborate lie to say that his bank accounts were frozen by YouTubian struggle streamers that scammed his bank account somehow. All of it was just an elaborate lie. And that's something for another video, or watch my past videos and explain that, okay? But that's the position that he's in now. A far cry from where his father came from. Now, is his father a saint? I'm not saying that. No. I'm not saying his father's perfect. No. I know that people will come out and say, well, his father, maybe after this video came out and said things in support of Umar or what XYZ, whatever it be. I'm not here to debate that. What I'm here to say is that at this time in his father's life, this is what his father was saying about Dr. Umar, okay? And the contrast between them at these times, at that time in their lives, is a very, very stark contrast. When you think about that, and it reminds me of the Bible in the Book of Kings. How you see, I was just reading in the Book of Kings about how, for example, you see King Hezekiah. Hezekiah, for the most part, followed God, the Bible says. But then you see his son, I believe his son was, if I'm not mistaken, his son was Manasseh, if I'm not mistaken. And Manasseh was against God until the very end of his life. Okay, so he was actually captured and put in chains. All right, Manasseh did all kinds of stuff against God, and so it was just a huge contrast. Manasseh is one of the main reasons why Israel actually was conquered, the Bible says, because of all the mess that he pushed Israel to do. All right. So we look at someone like Umar, and like I was saying, you can't just say, oh, well, Umar can't just say, oh, this is my father. Look at what he did. Or look, my bloodline goes into the kinsman of Frederick Douglass. It doesn't matter. And it goes for us watching. It doesn't matter what your bloodline says. There are black people that walk around this city, for example, in Philly, say, well, we're the tribe of Israel. We're the tribe of Israel. Even if that was the case, it doesn't matter. What are you doing now? You understand what I'm saying? What are you doing now? All right?
What's going to happen if you attack people? You think they're going to just let you attack them and they're not going to try to defend themselves? You make statements of theory and you talk like it's a fact. And on one video, I noted where it was not a fact. You called me a coon, and you said something about if his ass doesn't stop, I'm going to change my name. Well, I hope that you understand that no matter what you call yourself, I'm going to still love you and respect you and call you by your name, whatever that may be. Your mother did name you. I did change your name once I became Muslim, as I did your other siblings. So it's not an offense to me if you do that. What's offensive to me is that you do it, if you would do it out of spite, just to strike back at me as though we're in some kind of battle here. I didn't know we were in a battle. People have asked me, a lot of people have asked me, why don't you talk to your son? Why can't y'all communicate? Well, I'm going to say here today, since you've put it out there and put my name out there, that I've reached out for you to speak with me for years. You know that I want to talk to you about all this that you spreading to people. You know that it's in my nature to confront whatever I don't care for and whoever I don't care for, and not to run behind other people to get it done, including when it comes to you. But you have not fed back to me any replies, and if you want to say I'm lying, then prove it. But you haven't.
So we're going to stop right there, and y'all continue to watch that video. That video is called Dr. Umar Dad Exposes His Son, okay? From the Real Black Historian King. That's the channel, so we want to give the Real Black Historian King respect for posting this video, okay? And the last one, I believe, also is from the Real Black Historian King also, okay? So we'll give them props for putting these videos up. Dr. Umar Dad Exposes His Son. So that's answers the question, why is he making this video? Because Umar is not allowed connection between him and his father. He's not talking to his father when his father is calling him. All right. And to me, that goes a lot into the argument of Umar being a real man. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna tell you right now, there is no one who has tried to ever contact me in my short life who's had a gripe with me, and a just gripe, and they're not just off the wall or trying to scam me, that's tried to contact me, and I literally just didn't pick the phone up and just blocked them. Okay, no one. Seriously, no one. All right, simple as that. My own cousin. Okay, I had a deal with my own cousin some years ago that it wasn't a deal, it was work I was doing. I was part of a group, and we had issues going on. He was doing some things I didn't agree with. All right, and I was right with a lot of stuff that I was saying. All right, but I still spoke to him. We went back and forth over what was going on. And then later, some years later, all that stuff was resolved. We saw each other later. All right. But what I'm saying is that you have to have an open door. Your door has to be open as a man to be able to say, look, I'm a man, I'm going to resolve something. When I see men, and I know men like this, I know men that they've cut people off. They've cut men off, other men off, like some of these females out there. I'm not trying to make fun of women. I'm not trying to make fun of women when I'm saying this, but I have to say this because some women, they will do that. You know, they will go with a guy and then just block his number without any explanation. Okay, and it's happened to me before with no explanation for no reason at all, or just because maybe they found another guy and they don't want to tell you that. Okay, whatever case it be. And some guys, they will do that stuff to brothers, and then they would say, I'm a man. I'm a man. Really? You may owe a guy some money, for example. You ever see this for you? A guy owes you some money, and then when it's time for him to give you the money, you call him, go right to voicemail, or he's never got the time to pick the phone up when he owe you money. But then when all is resolved, then all of a sudden y'all talking. That's the type of person that Dr. Umar is. You understand what I'm saying? That's the type of person that he is. And that's even that. What about the money thing is something that has been shown from this YouTuber. There's a YouTuber called Gideon, okay? And Gideon, Dr. Umar actually owed him money. And the guy Gideon, you can look up online, he actually confronted Dr. Umar. Was like, look, you owe me this money. It was like hundreds of dollars. And Dr. Umar was like, who is this Gideon? I don't know who this guy is. Dr. Umar didn't even care. You know what I mean? That's the caliber of man that you guys are saying we should trust our young black men with. Why? Why? Do I make these videos to attack Dr. Umar? Do I make these videos to expose what he's doing? Because like his father said, it's about what he's doing, it's about what he's saying that's wrong. Okay, we need to stand against it. All right? And that's the truth. And that's standing in truth, and that's standing in justice. To stand in truth is not just to expose the darkness, it's to expose what's not the truth so people can see what the truth is and stay there. If not, people will all be fooled by deception. And the devil is always out here to deceive. Okay? It's my life mission to stand with the Lord and against what the devil is doing. Okay? So that's that, y'all. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe. Share this video if you can. It helps most. I'm out. Peace.